That is so good. Oh, that's awesome. All right, let's go. Let's hop in the pods. Okay.
Wait, how does it? I think it only does that for Laird, though.
Yeah, it's only channel 1.
Okay, cool. Well, that's funny.
So anytime you want to mess with me, you'll just like I'm talking about
The
something
most serious
and just,
moment. Just pop.
Yeah, no, that's.
Oh man. Okay. All right.
Are we live?
We're live.
Am
Oh,
I
yeah.
getting?
we're recording.
Am I getting good enough feedback here? Into my. Okay, that sounds better. All right.
Okay, we're live. No, we're not quite
Let me
live
just
yet.
adjust my headset or my microphone. Okay.
Okay, we'll
I
start.
don't want to have to lean too much, but I also don't want. I assume it's getting my face pretty good. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Dun, 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 dun. Welcome to the ALLGROUND Podcast.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good intro.
Yep. Yeah, we still got to figure that out. Have to figure out an intro for us. Or when does that come? Like, when do you officially become an intro podcast?
After episode 8, you can start
Yeah,
thinking about that.
at least episode 8.
Okay. So there's a lot of goals here for us that start at episode 8.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
So let's talk about some of the goals that we have.
Well, let's
after
just talk
episode
about
8.
Let's talk about the statistics. What are
Okay.
the statistics of podcasts? Ty, do you know a little bit about that?
I only know
all of them.
that episode 8, like 90, maybe higher than 90% of podcasts don't make it past 8 episodes.
Okay, so first and foremost, that is our goal. Our goal number 1 is to make it past 8 episodes. And honestly, at this point, I don't have a doubt in my mind that we're not going to do that, because
Wait a minute.
don't have a doubt in my mind that we
Will
do that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I don't think that we won't.
I
not
do
do
not
that.
doubt.
I don't think there's a doubt
I
in
do
my
not
mind that we
doubt.
aren't going to not do that.
Yeah. I have no doubt that we're not going to doubt ourselves doubting what we're going to do.
100%. I have
Anyway.
no doubt of that.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is
Doubtless.
we're getting past 8 episodes easily. I could see us a year from now, 100 episodes in, just still killing it. Just still.
Well, a year
year
from
from
now,
now.
mathematically,
yeah.
I'm going to say roughly 52.
Okay.
Because,
I can do
there's
that.
52 weeks. In
That's
the
why
year.
we have Temp Ty here. He does the math.
Temp Ty's the math guy.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah.
Did Temp Ty go to college?
Indubitably.
Yes or no, we'll send you a free all-ground hat. Yeah, no. I think we do gotta send out a hat.
Yeah, we do.
I think someone did comment on episode 3, was it?
I think
Episode
so.
2.
Yeah.
The mustache question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was episode 3. And I
So
think someone...
if you're listening to this episode, congratulations. You got a hat.
yeah, and we're going to figure out the details and get you that free all-ground hat. But yeah, we'll get that figured out. Anyway, our goals for the podcast.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
What are your
definitely.
immediate goals? Let's just talk about that.
Okay. Well, hit episode 8.
Yep.
And then I would like to have a guest on after episode 8.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like we can't have any guests on until we've established
That's
you know,
also an
some
episode
sort of
8
authority
type of thing, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, we know a lot of people in the jiu-jitsu community, in the MMA community, that would be awesome to have on here to interview, to ask the fun questions, the good questions, the questions that people want to know,
Yeah.
rather than just life story stuff. You know.
Yeah,
Always
absolutely.
life story.
Yeah, well, what makes a good, because I tend to find myself, because I'm in the MMA sphere, I tend to find myself listening to a lot of MMA interviews. And what is it if you're ever watching, let's say, an interview of a high level fighter you like or you follow, what are you looking for in that interview? What's going to make that interview pop off the page, you know?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the times it's just the fighter, like how much charisma they have, what their personality type is like, what you know, because people just, as great of fighters as they are, can just be really boring to listen to.
Yeah.
You know, because they're just boring.
Yeah. Do you think that a good interviewer can bring that out of them?
Yeah, I
Doubtless,
feel like
yeah.
I feel like Helwani asks the good questions, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I feel like for the most part, he's asking the questions that people want to know.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's why he has such authority in the area
Yeah.
of being one of the best, if not the best, MMA interviewer.
I'd say at this point, he is the best MMA interviewer. Obviously, he has some beef with some people like that will not come on his show for whatever reason that I'm not sure of. But I think, I mean, he hosted the whole Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight, which we'll get into in a bit. But if you start as just, I mean, he started in like the Rampage era.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When you start as just a little MMA show when MMA is not that popular, and now look at him. He was doing the interviews at the end of the fight for Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, which is one of the biggest crossover events or some sort of event, whatever you want to call it, spectacle, in that stratosphere in a long time or just recently. So, yeah, for him to go from just a tiny little MMA show to where he's at now obviously shows that his work ethic and what he's doing is right, you know?
Yeah.
So I'd have to say that for sure.
He's definitely put in the reps.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's the
Absolutely.
key.
Absolutely.
Yep, that is
Ty,
the key.
what about you? Like, if you're looking, I mean, whatever you might be watching, if you're looking for a good interview, what are you looking for?
Well, I mean, I guess what do I like personally? I like to see people that are humble, but they have some charisma and that sort of thing. But I think that if I were to objectively look at it and say that was a good interview, that's going to get people to listen. It could be, you know, somebody that's really provocative.
Right.
You know, when Elias was being interviewed and he was like just so arrogant, you know,
Yeah.
and I mean, it was provocative, you know, and like half the people hated him, half the people loved him, but it was a good interview.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I like personally, obviously I like people that are, you know, they like to put in the hard work. They don't like to jaw too much. No jawsing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
No.
Can't be jaws.
Malachi.
but yeah, but
shout out
objectively,
Malachi.
whatever's going to kind of be polarizing, not even polarizing, just provocative.
Yeah.
It's got to like get people thinking.
It's provocative. What is that from? Is that
Come on, man. You know what that's from.
the freaking? Come on, man.
Come on,
What
man.
is it?
You know it.
No,
Will
you do
Ferrell.
not. Oh yeah, Will Ferrell.
It gets the people going.
The,
Nobody knows what it means.
It's not the.
No, it's Anchorman.
No. Oh, my God.
Ah, shit. Well,
Step Brothers.
dang. Okay. Step Brothers. A lot of people are gonna hate on me for that. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
that's all right. I've never actually watched Step Brothers
What?
all the way through.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
crazy, actually. That's a wild statistic.
But to bring it back, I think for me personally, what I'm looking for when I'm watching like MMA interviews is I like it when people talk about their training routines. I like it when people talk about their recovery routines, their training routines, you know, their sleep schedules, like what they're doing differently or what they're trying to do differently, because it's like, personally, that's where I find the most education. I don't know if you remember listening to, and maybe this is a bad example, but TJ Dillashaw, he had a podcast on the Joe Rogan show a long time ago, and he was talking about his training with Sam Calavita. And that just stuck out to me because, I mean, most people that talk about training with Sam Calavita at the training lab just talk about how it's the most hellish, just gruelish workouts they can ever do, you know? And it's very scientific and mathematically based, right? I'm pretty sure he was a math professor at a prestigious school.
Yeah, I think he was a professor.
Yeah.
But-
So it's things like that that give me the most, because I want to feel like I'm learning something.
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't really get caught into like the shit talk as much. It's fun, but I want to feel like, specifically for me as a professional MMA fighter, I want to feel like I'm learning something when I'm listening to these interviews and I'm taking something that I can apply to our training, your training, mine, whatever. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but like you're not looking for as much of the entertainment factor as just, you know, Joe Sixpack that's just sitting there watching.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure I'm probably the minority when it comes to that. I'm sure majority of people are wanting to just watch Ilya and Max Holloway talk shit leading up to the fight, or, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, which people love. And that's why whenever you have characters like Conor McGregor, Chael Sonnen, all these guys that are big talkers, like people watch it. People watch it.
Yeah. I like a really transparent interview too. You know, when people get a little
Shit,
deep.
I just moved the camera.
Oh my
Dude,
gosh.
what the hell?
Yeah. How's
you're
that?
good. You're centered.
That's good.
Okay,
Okay,
that's
okay.
good.
Yeah, I like when people, have some deep cuts.
Yeah.
Go into the lifestyle.
Yeah.
Talk about also the hardships and the pain of being a professional fighter, and a professional athlete, and really speak to that in a transparent way. I think that's super cool and definitely relatable, as we've grown up in it.
Yeah.
But definitely hearing about the training is awesome.
Yeah.
Hearing about the recovery, the little things that they're doing differently, and seeing, especially at the highest level, like what makes them different.
Yeah.
One thing that I love about Sean O'Malley is how he was talking about, I'm like the best sleeper in the UFC. I get the best sleep.
Yeah.
And that's such a cool thing
Yeah.
to think about. And it's also something that I feel like probably a lot of fighters don't think about enough.
Yeah.
They're thinking about being the hardest worker in the room, being the best, being great at sparring and whatever they're working, But it's really cool to hear someone like Sean O'Malley be like, I'm investing in my sleep at the highest level.
So often, and I know this is true for me, is you grow up watching these like motivational videos where people are like, I don't got time to fucking sleep. I gotta be, like while you're sleeping, I'm grinding. Like that has been the go-to thing for so long. Is like, I'm working while these people are sleeping.
Yeah.
But in all reality, is there anything more important than sleep? Quality sleep. Is there anything more important for your health?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I think I was listening to Rob Wolf talk about it, and he said, if you took 3 people and you said, Elias, you don't get to drink water. Laird, you don't get to eat food. And Ty, you don't get to sleep.
Yeah.
Who would die first?
Yeah.
I would die first.
Yeah.
And that's partially because I'm weak.
Yeah.
But also because sleep is the most important of the 3.
The fact that I just calmly said, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You would die.
Yeah.
You would die
for sure.
us.
You would die first.
Yeah. Yeah. That was just one of those like just natural responses.
Yeah. No,
Someone's
Temp Ty,
talking, you got to say yeah.
You'd smother me with a pillow if there was any doubt. I'm just sure of it.
Temp Ty, you are dying first.
Well, it might be this little elf over here, not drinking enough water. Might
Yeah,
not
he would be
support
the
his
second to go. That you can go the longest without food, but sleep is the number one.
well,
Yeah, I mean, I got plenty
Santa-
of fat to go.
Santa right here is not going to survive without his cookies.
I got myself before you could get it. So, oh man, but yeah. But speaking of the just the hard work, just the shit that people don't see as a professional fighter, what you have to do, like the sacrifices, the hard times. What are those? What are those in a training camp or outside of a training camp that, for a fighter specifically, maybe give more of an insight to people that aren't fighters and want to know what it's like,
Yeah. I think in terms of sacrifice, you just have to give up those things where you're thinking, oh, one won't hurt me. Because the best in the world, they're so disciplined.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of fighters, and we've obviously been around a lot of fighters where deep in training camp, they're obviously in peak physical condition. One donut or one cookie or something won't hurt me.
Yeah.
And the truth is, it probably won't. You'll burn it instantly, but it's that discipline that really separates. And I love listening to the people that say, I did everything I could during this training camp.
Yeah.
Like I left no stone unturned. I'm 100% prepared for this.
Yeah.
And that was always inspiring, I know, to both of us when we were getting ready for something big. When I got the call to compete for Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds in my weight class finally at 135, just instantly remember thinking, 1, I'm going to win it. 2, I am going to prepare more disciplined than anyone on the roster. Like, I will sacrifice anything to get that victory. So I think that's what you have to give up. You have to give up going to bed any later, even if it just means like watching a TV show with your girl. You know? I mean, if your bedtime is 9:30 or 10 o'clock, and it's like, it's just those little things like, oh, another 10 minutes isn't going to hurt me. What's another 5 minutes? What's a quick little snack before bed? It just, any little edge Like the more disciplined athlete, the person that's obsessed, the person that wants it more, they're not going to give that.
Yeah. One thing that I feel like goes through every fighter's head during camp is just like this comparison to other athletes, like comparison to other fighters and what they are doing. You know, like for me specifically, it's hard to have like this mental rest seeing sometimes other fighters that are either at a higher level or just competing at a higher level. Like I know going through camp, even if I had done my 2 sessions in a day or 3 sessions, whatever it might look like, and I trained hard, you know, if at the end of the day, like I sit down or at any point in the day, I watch something on Instagram of a fighter training or doing this, and I'm like, fuck, what if he's doing more than me? Like, what if they're doing more than me? You know, and then you get like in your head mentally, you're like, am I doing enough? You know, you just instantly get this fear like in your gut where you're like, fuck, I need to be training. Like, I need to be training. This guy's training. What if he's doing more?
Yeah. I think that's also where you have to rely on your coaches. You know?
Yeah.
And you have to rely on a team where they believe in you as much as you believe in yourself. And if not more, like I feel like your team should believe in you more than you believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's all about strategy. I mean, you shouldn't be leaving a training camp leaving a training session feeling unfulfilled. Like, and you know this, you've gone through some crazy training camps, we both have, where just after a session, even if it wasn't painful, you leave feeling fulfilled, and then you can allow your mind to rest until the next session. And then if you have another fulfilling training session, you sleep well, right? You keep your mind off it. And what does that look like? Like a fulfilling training session to me means we're sticking to the game plan. We're working things intently, right? We're not just showing up to train. You know, that's what just the day-to-day is before you're getting ready for a fight. You know, the day-to-day is you show up to train, you keep the blade sharp. But yeah, training camp, I always feel fulfilled when we're diving deep into techniques, you know, and thinking of strategy and exactly how we're going to get the job done, and then just, you know, implementing that in every single training session.
Right.
Then I feel so fulfilled, and that's when I feel like I'm doing everything I can.
Yeah, definitely to your point. Like having coaches to just check you mentally is so important, because I mean, you can push too hard. You know, you can push way too hard, and it'll actually be worse for your camp than you know, taking some days off or just resting.
How many guys do you think overtrain? I mean, they just push too hard.
Oh, I think it's just
Laird.
Yeah.
Fun fact about Laird, in one in his training camp and one outside of training camp, Laird has gotten rhabdo just from overtraining. Like still being hydrated, eating really well at the time, but just doesn't know how to rest the body, you know?
Yeah. That's the weird thing for me, is it's like, it's always easy to push really hard. Like that's the easy part for me. Doing like the mundane work, like the recovery, the flexibility, the mobility, like that's the stuff that's hard. But if you tell me to get in there and do a 2-hour wrestling practice and fucking go as hard as I can, right? That's going to be the easy part. Which is weird. And it actually kind of, sometimes it pisses me off a little bit, because I'll walk into a training session, and this happened a lot during my last camp, where it's just like my body and my mind will not let me do anything else. You know, like I walk into a training camp and I'm like, you know what? I might take it a little lighter today. And then you start, like you get into these wrestling positions with someone, and this thing takes over you, and you're just like, I don't want to lose a single second of this. I do not want to lose a single second of this. And I want to go as hard as I can. I want to push myself as hard as I can, because those mental doubts do creep in. You know, and even in training, you think about them. When you start to like feel that little inch of just like, fuck, I should taper off right now. Then I like, it gets rewired in my brain where I'm like, no, my opponent's not tapering off. You know, I know he's not tapering off. He's probably pushing through this round even harder than me. You know? So it's almost like a detriment to me at times, where I'm like, I know I need to just like take a night easy, but then when I show up, I just end up going just as hard as usual, you know?
I mean, do you think as you get older and wiser, like the more seasoned fighters that have had really, really successful and long careers, a lot of longevity, they've learned to find that balance?
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of fighters talk about, you know, as they get into their later years of fighting, they talk about just training less. I mean, not like your training should still be very focused and very specific and very disciplined, but I don't think you need to push as hard as much as you think, you know, because at the end of the day, fighting is a skill. There's the physical part of it, but it's a skill nonetheless. And if you're more skilled in there and more confident in your skill, you're going to be able to do really good work.
Yeah. I think it's sort of just the natural cycle of greats. I think that as much technology and science that we have in martial arts and in sports in general, there's always going to be people like you that show up and they aren't going to feel like they've done enough unless they're dog tired.
Yeah.
You know, just completely wrecked at the end of each training session.
Yeah.
But I think that's also what makes you as good as you are, you know, and also an undefeated professional in MMA. And I don't think that's something that can necessarily be trained out of you. I also think that sort of falls into the hands of the coaches.
Yeah.
Just like sort of forcing you to take a break. Like, oh, you've done enough rounds, go. Even though you are totally capable of doing more rounds and ready.
Yeah.
A good coach also has to like know when to, you know, pull his fighter back, right? Or just force him to recover. And it's funny because I'm sure you'll get to a point, I mean, you kind of already are, but you're that fighter right now, that guy that needs to get the most out of every training session and sweat through all of his clothes and doesn't feel like he got a good session in unless he's just so tired and so dead at the end of the session.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when you're 50, 60 years old, you're going to be looking at these fighters that are doing the same thing as you or something, and you're going to tell them to rest, you know, because you have gained that wisdom, you've gained that knowledge through like actual experience. But I don't know. I think that's heart, you know, and that's not something that should be like frowned upon in any way, you know.
Yeah,
and I feel like you have to be that way. You have to be crazy like that if you want to be at the highest level. Yeah. If you want to just be good, show up, do good work. Yeah. You know, push to, you know, red line, whatever that means, and then be done. Yeah. But people like you, the people that want it so bad, they're gonna red line and then they're gonna break that meter. They're just gonna go until they physically
twist the
can't
needle off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why it's so important to have a good coach, right? Because if you train, like you're on the edge of overtraining and you have to decide, I'm gonna back it off because you know you should, then to you emotionally that feels like giving up. But if your coach tells you you have to back it off, then you weren't the one to decide that. So it doesn't make you feel like you've given up. It makes you feel like you're acquiescing to, you know, your coach, which you should do. Right. And so you have to have a coach tell you that, because if you don't, then you feel like you're failing in some way. Yeah.
And I know, like, I mean, we're reading the Book of Five Rings, and he's like a self-taught martial artist, which is like, sometimes I think about that and I feel like, man, you know, we can kind of just teach ourselves to like be the best we can. And I think there's a lot you can learn through just yourself, but I think just having a coach to ease your mind, you know, when you're a professional fighter, the last thing you want to do is show up to train and have to figure out what you're going to do for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? I think you want to just be able to give your best effort and listen to someone. You know, one thing that's always been easy for me is just when there's a coach in front of me, I like to just take in, you know, whatever he says, and I like to try to apply it. You know, when Elias is cornering me during any of my sparring and he says something, I'm listening to that and I'm trying to do it perfectly. And that's what makes it easy, you know, is obviously I'm going to do what I do well, but anytime I get those cues, it's like a good reminder, you know, that I could do this, or I can finish it from here, or I can attack that. Oh, I need to slow it down. I need to stop putting the pressure on, right? He's countering me off my pressure. You know, just those little cues that just having a coach is so helpful. So helpful nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, they can help you see things that you're not seeing in yourself, and yeah, give you that clarity, and that's so important for a fighter. It's really to have that clarity and mostly like direction, because you've got all of this energy, and if you're not sure where to aim it, it can be really hard on your mental. You know,
Yeah,
you can feel like it's just bottled up, and I just don't know what to do, and then you end up, you just work out, but what was the intention behind it other than just, getting all this energy out? A good coach is going to, have an intentional training method.
Yeah.
Something that's going to have more purpose.
Yeah. And you can have bad coaches too that'll be totally detrimental to your training and your success and your, how you progress through the sport. Honestly, any sport, like you want a coach that's honest, but doesn't doubt you, specifically in MMA. I know we talked about this just a little bit earlier, but I know like I've had coaches in the past that it kind of feels like they don't believe what you believe.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Like deep down, you believe that you're this and you're capable of this. And then they're just like, oh, let's not, are you sure you want to do that? Let's not, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. I want someone who's like honest, but believes what you believe, like, hey, I know you can get there. I know you have all the talent, the skill, and the hard work to get there, but let's take it one step at a time and just, build ourselves as strong as we can.
Yeah.
Yeah. So having a coach that just believes what you believe, doesn't have to be that you can do it right then and there, but believes what you believe and can get you there and guide you there is going to be super helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a coach with a growth mindset, basically.
Yeah.
You might right now not be ready to take on that competitor, but to believe that if you work hard and train the right way, that you could get to that level and be ready for that.
Yeah, exactly. A coach that's not going to like, no, you can't do that. Like, that's not possible for you. Like someone that's like, hey, I believe that we can do that 100%. Let's just take the steps to get there. And if you show me the work, I'll give you I'll give you what I can give you as well,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Ty, you've had a lot of teachers and coaches, I'm sure, over the years. Do you have a few things that really stood out, from any coaches, or even some that you haven't trained with physically, maybe just some that you've read about? Or
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I've talked to you guys about the Pygmalion effect, right? Like, I think one of the most important things to Laird's point is your coach has to believe that you can. They don't have to believe that you will. They have to believe that you can. Because, I mean, there's always a loser in every fight. It's going to happen, and some people are super blessed and they get through an entire career with no losses, but that's pretty rare. I mean, if you look at other sports like, baseball, football, basketball, nobody has an undefeated career. Like everybody has losses, but that doesn't mean they're losers. It just means that, they didn't necessarily have a good day that day. The other person had a good day. They had a bad day, whatever. But your coach always has to believe that you can. And that's the same thing in academics and anything, really. I mean, that's the one trait that's like all the teachers and all the coaches I've had in the past that have like believed that I could, not that I wouldn't necessarily, but I could. That was like the golden ingredient every time.
Yeah.
So important.
yeah.
And that's what you guys are good at. You guys, the way you guys coach, it's obvious that you believe that we can, not necessarily that we will.
Yeah. I mean, you go through, we've had so many students and I try to tell people, I'm like, students will get upset their first week. They'll lose a match and they'll be like, how do I do this? I can't fucking get them off me, or I can't do this, or I can't escape. And I'm like, listen, you've been doing this for 3 days. Like, you're not supposed to be able, if you were to just have it right away, is this even really worth it?
Right.
If it was something that were easy to get good at quick, is it worth it?
Yeah.
No. Right?
And everybody be doing it.
Yeah. And it's kind of like, I know for me, like, and maybe this is just me, but when people like, I've had blue belts and like lower belts get upset when I beat them up, and I'm like, show a little respect to the time I've put in, you don't, I get like losing sucks, right?
Yeah.
If you're a competitor, losing sucks, but like give some respect. I feel like at that point, it's a little bit of disrespect to the people that have put in just hours and hours and years into perfecting their craft when you're like blatantly upset about them beating you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I was playing in a volleyball tournament one time at UC Davis. I used to play so much volleyball. It was doubles, and we were playing this AA tournament, and we were playing two guys that were currently playing. One was playing for Sac State. I think maybe they both were, but they were pretty high level. And my partner and I beat them, and they were like super pissed, you know. Now I've been playing for years and years, so it wasn't like they lost to, you know, total noobs or anything. But
Yeah.
I remember it still sticks in my head. One of them goes, "God damn it, we just lost to shit." I was like, "Thanks, guys. Thanks a lot." You know, they were so mad.
That's
You're
more
damn
embarrassing
right.
for them, though.
You're damn
it
right
is.
you
It
did.
is. Exactly.
Yeah, you
God,
you
we
just like,
suck bad, and you just lost to us.
A little
and
res-
we suck.
Yeah, well, one thing that stuck out to me is I rolled with this brand new white belt a long time ago, and he was older than me. You know, we're fairly young black belts.
Yeah.
You know, so I was rolling with this new white belt who was older than me at the time, and you know, I was just whooping them all across the mat. And I know some people will be like, "Man, why are you whooping on white belts?" Well, guess what? Hicks and Gracie never took it easy on anyone. Our dad trained with Hicks and Gracie, and he said, if you were a white belt or a black belt, he was going to destroy you all the same.
Yeah.
And guess what? You're going to benefit from that no matter what.
It's true.
Yeah.
But this guy, I beat him up, you know, not meanly, but I beat him up technically. And he like got up after the match and just looked me in my face seriously and was like, "I'm going to get you one day." And instantly in my head, which like, great. That's a great mindset to have, I'm sure. But instantly in my head, I was just like, "No, the fuck you're not, bro." Like, you are never going to get me.
Yeah.
I was like, I just instantly took offense to it. I was like, "You're never going to get me, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm younger than you. I'm a black belt. Like, you're never going to get me."
Yeah.
I
Because
promise
if you
that.
train for 20 years, guess what? I'll also have been training for 20 years. I'm going to be that much better than you.
Yeah. So, but no, I think like the more I like sat and thought about it, I was like, you know, that's a good mindset to have. I like that, you know.
It can be a good mindset.
But
if
just
it's
keep it
like-
to yourself.
Yeah, right.
Just think in your own head, like, I want to beat that guy one
Yeah.
day.
And also show up and put the work in before you start saying stuff like
Yeah,
that. Show up
exactly.
for a year every day.
Yep.
And then be like, "I'm going to beat you one day." And then maybe you're like, "Hey, maybe." If
Yeah.
you keep showing up and training as hard as you do.
Yeah.
I think a better mindset is, man, I would love to be as good as you.
Yeah.
Seriously. Because, I mean, he's a white belt, you're a black belt. You guys, like, it's like you're not even playing the same sport, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
he's playing T-ball, and you're playing Major League Baseball, and he's like, "I'm going to hit a home run off my tee." You know? You're like, dude, we're not even in the same league,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
It's sort of a funny story as well. I mean, it happens a lot of the time. And Ty, this is actually good for you to know since you're a white belt. But every once in a while, I'll be rolling with, you know, a white belt or a blue belt, whatever, just a lower belt, and just working technique, you know, working with them. And sometimes, depending on the person, they might be like, "Oh, well, at least I didn't get submitted." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Wait, is that what we were doing? Do you want me to submit you?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "No, you didn't win this match by not getting submitted.
Yeah,
And if you think that you did any better by not getting submitted, we can roll for real right now.
Yeah.
And I can be really mean."
I'll give you
Yeah.
6 seconds.
I hate when people say that. When like, "Oh man, you didn't submit me as much this time," or "Oh, you didn't actually get me this time.
Yeah.
Well, I must be getting better." And
Yeah.
I'm like, "No, you are not getting better."
You are not. Gosh, okay.
You're
We're
getting
putting the
better,
timer on
but
again. How
not
about
even
last
close.
30 seconds?
Okay, all right, we're putting the timer on. Actually, I should just be like, "Yeah, I'm getting worse."
I remember
Yeah.
we used to do that with our friends. Like when I was a purple belt, Elias was a brown belt. Our friends used to always give us shit. And I was like, "Buddy, I will tap you in 30 seconds. Like, I will tap you in 30 seconds." And we would actually do it.
Yeah.
Like, I would try to tap them in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
You know? And then, of course, if I didn't, they would just give you the most shit.
Oh yeah,
You know, that was the worst. But
that
yeah.
wasn't the worst.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, no.
it's funny.
It depends on like what's the intention of the comment there. If it's your good friend who's training really hard and like, "Oh man, like I'm definitely working to get you one day.
Yeah.
You know, that's my goal." And I'm like, "Great. I hope you do."
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I hope that you beat me up one day. I would
Yeah.
love that.
Exactly.
And that's what we want as coaches as well. We want to provide. We want to be coaching our athletes to the highest level, right?
Yeah.
Coaching our students to the highest level so that, they can give us tough looks one day.
Exactly.
And when it's specific to jiu-jitsu, there are a certain set of rules that you have to stick to in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And if you play those rules right and strategically, you can make it really difficult for anyone. You know, as a blue belt, as we know, can make it very difficult for a black belt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you just have to have the right strategy, have the right coaches, and that's what's so cool about something just one martial art like jiu-jitsu, is it can get really difficult at some point.
I mean, you want the people that you're teaching to eventually be able to give you a hard time, or even beat you. You know, I have no problem with that. Like, even our dad told us as we were growing up, like, he would always say, look, I'm going to hate if anyone beats me, but if you guys beat me, I'm going to love it. You know, like, the day you guys are able to beat me, I'm going to be happy because I know I've done my job. Yeah. And then
I turned 18 and I beat the shit out of him.
And he still does to this day. I get scared from my dad when Elias rolls with him. Because he's he's old at this point, and Elias is like, I'm just going to kill this guy.
You don't know what it was like growing up as the older brother, as the eldest of the siblings. I had to prove myself. I had to become the man of the house.
I'm always like, holy shit, Elias, chill. He's old.
He can't even
and then
walk.
Elias is like, he's still a black belt.
Squeezing.
He's still a sneaky black belt.
Yeah.
If I go easy on him, he'll get soft. But no, I mean,
I do beat up my dad, but because I love him.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
But he is still like, I mean, he's a black belt and he's been doing it for a long time. And there's some shit he'll pull out that's like, oh, that was sneaky.
Yeah.
You know, that was good. But obviously, like, Father Time is against everyone and you can't beat it, you know, but.
Yeah, but what about Pai Mei?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you can kill someone with a 5-point exploding heart technique.
5-point palm exploding heart technique.
Exactly. Then I mean, you don't really need physicality.
Yeah.
If you don't know what we're talking about, close enough to hit him with that shit.
Yeah. And if you guys don't know what we're talking about, watch Kill Bill 1 and 2.
Yeah. And actually, that's a great topic.
Is there anybody that doesn't know? I mean, seriously, like, who has not seen Kill Bill?
Dude, a lot of people
Really?
have not seen all the Quentin Tarantino films.
Yeah.
Well, but Kill Bill. I mean, come on.
Well, what's the best martial arts film? And that can be like, Kill Bill can be a martial arts film. You know, it has fighting, it has martial arts, it has. What's the best martial arts film?
You know, there's so much nostalgia in that question. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to have a different answer because it's like at the time in their life, they watch some martial arts film and it like spoke to their soul and they love it, you know, that they're going to, but if they went back and watched it now, they might be like, wow, that was actually really bad. But, but at the time it was great. Like for me, nostalgia wise, totally Bloodsport.
Really? Really?
Frank Dukes and all that. I was like, I thought that was like the
Jean-Claude?
coolest.
Wait, isn't that Jean-Claude?
JCVD.
JCVD, dude. JCVD and GSP. Those guys. But
I want to get some Jean-Claude Van Damme merch.
Yeah, Bloodsport's a good one. Obviously, like, I just growing up on Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like there's
Enter the
no
Dragon.
better martial arts films than the Bruce Lee films. Like, when he fought Chuck Norris, like, Return of the Dragon, Enter the Dragon is fantastic. The Chinese Connection, which I think actually had a different name in the beginning, but gosh, it's just every one of those Bruce Lee films just, I love it, man.
Yeah.
I just love it. And it's so, I mean, Bruce Lee is just, if you're a martial artist, you probably like and idolized Bruce Lee at one point, you know, just as a martial artist, you know, not necessarily. Yeah, but as a martial artist.
Yeah, sort of ahead of his time in a lot of ways, like blending martial arts together in the form of Jeet Kune Do.
Yeah.
You know, so cool. And just embodied what it meant to be a martial artist. Yeah. You know, really just lived like a martial artist. It seemed like, even though he was a famous actor, you know, a director, I still think from the outside looking in, it looked like he was a legit martial artist and obsessed over martial arts. And every martial artist is going to look up to him like that. Yeah. He's so freaking cool. We actually have a lot of Bruce Lee merch and just accessories around AllGround.
Skateboard, pictures, clock.
Yeah.
Tattoos.
Yeah. He's iconic.
Yeah, iconic in the martial arts world for sure.
I was just gonna go with a couple other movies.
Yeah, hit it.
I mean, Bruce Lee for sure. It's not like martial arts, but all the Rocky movies.
Yes.
I mean, the fucking training.
I mean, I would be glued as a kid. I would be glued to the screen. Like we would be having sleepovers with other kids there, and Rocky would be on, and I would just be sat there while kids were running around, just staring at this, like just Rocky fight Ivan Drago and take a million punches to the head.
Yeah.
And that's what I idolized as a kid. I was like, holy shit, I just got to take punches and walk through them. And fucking go for it.
I just gotta have a hard head.
Yeah, they definitely weren't trying to, put any awareness on CTE, but
No, not at all. He
Not
was
at all.
just eating shots.
Except for I think in the 5th one they did talk about his brain trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
they were like, we should address
before
that. Was
that
the
they were
Tommy
like,
gun
no,
one,
if you want, the Tommy gun,
Yeah.
which is, probably the worst one. But
it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even count any of the ones after that.
yeah, I mean
Like-
it's Rocky 1 through 4, and then after that we're just whatever.
Yeah, I don't even pay
I
attention.
haven't seen the Creeds. I've heard good things.
Oh, you haven't
but
seen Creeds?
I haven't.
Yep.
I haven't seen the Creeds.
They're pretty good.
Yeah,
That's the thing. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
You watch
I mean-
Rocky and you're like, that was fucking brilliant.
no.
Yeah,
Rocky,
but you're
best
old
thing ever.
now, right? Like when you watch Rocky, you were young.
Yeah.
And it was like a formative time in your
Still,
life.
I still feel that way.
I mean, tell me you did not watch Rocky and want to go chug a glass of raw eggs.
That's true. I mean, the music was so good.
So good.
Okay, speaking of the music, we're teaching our 6 a.m. class this morning.
Yeah.
And I asked the students, guys, what's the greatest song of all time?
Yeah.
And right away, Maz just looks at me. He's like, I Had the Tiger.
It's the greatest workout.
Yeah, without
song.
even a
No
second
doubt.
thought, just I have the tiger.
Yeah, I Had the Tiger. Didn't even skip a beat. And I was like, holy shit, that's a great answer.
Yeah, and he just knew that right off the bat.
And he was like,
He
he
didn't
actually
have to
looked
think
at us
about
like
it.
we
Your
were
first day
stupid for
here? What's
asking.
going on?
Yeah, like, yo, did you really not think I Had the Tiger is the best song ever to live ever?
Wait, you don't realize it's I Have the Tiger?
Wow, you guys must be complete dumbasses. It's
So
Eye of the Tiger.
He canceled his membership today, right?
Yeah. Wait, why are
these
you
guys.
canceling? Because you asked a stupid question.
Dude, yeah, that was hilarious how fast he answered.
Yeah.
that.
And
I
the
Had the
way-
Tiger. I Had the Tiger. It's I Had the Tiger. The best song ever is I Had the Tiger.
It was so funny. He said it so matter of fact.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, he's right.
I Had the
The
Tiger.
best song is Eye of the Tiger.
And we did play it after. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, is this the best song of all time?
My walkout song for the rest of my career.
Yeah, for
Eye
sure.
of the Tiger. I Have the Tiger, of course.
I think people are going to get annoyed if we keep saying, I Have the Tiger.
Yeah.
Just hit that little arrow that's like fast forward 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Just two or
Yeah,
three
yeah.
times. I had the Tiger.
Yeah.
I have the tiger.
But if I know we haven't been getting much comment engagement, but I think a good one for this one would just be put your favorite martial arts movie in the comments.
Yeah.
Favorite
Or
martial arts movie.
the greatest song of all time.
Yeah.
Martial arts movie, or what is the greatest song of all time?
I do
have
want
the Tiger
to
spam.
give a shout out to the most arrogant of all actor martial artists, Steven Seagal. I mean, I did have a time in my life where I really liked that movie Above the Law.
Yeah.
That
yeah.
was a pretty good one. I like that one.
I mean, the reason Anderson Silva beat Vitor Belfort is because Steven Seagal, right? I mean, we both know that.
Yeah.
We all know that. Anyway, we're at 43. Maybe we should talk about the two most recent events. You know,
Tyson.
Paul and Tyson.
Okay, real quick.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. I mean, I just think like.
Yeah, I'll just ask a
people
good
wanna
question.
know. Okay.
Do you think Jake Paul took it easy on Mike Tyson?
Absolutely,
Honestly.
100%. 100%.
Honest question. Like, do you actually think he did?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think he wasn't trying to kill him like he was trying to do the other fighters. And like, good. I'm so thankful for that because I did not want to see Mike get hurt. You know, that was the last thing I wanted to see. But yeah, I mean, Mike was still fucking dodging a lot. Like there was
He
a
didn't
lot.
look bad.
Yeah,
Especially
yeah.
for a 58-year-old guy.
Yeah. I mean, he looked
First
old.
two rounds,
He
especially.
looked old. Yeah, he is old and he looked old.
Yeah.
But his head movement was still decent.
It was still pretty good. It was when he was actually getting hit that you could see how old he was.
Yeah, you're like, oh shit.
His
Like, I
legs
think
start
Jake Paul
buckling
could
a little
finish
bit.
this if he wanted to.
Yeah, because
right away.
He would get hit and then he would sort of paw the punches away and look super flustered.
Yeah,
and that's a guy that just hasn't sparred hard in a long time. And probably he wasn't sparring super hard, I imagine. I didn't watch a lot of interviews or anything leading up to it, but I can't imagine people are getting in there and sparring hard against Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
And even if they are, they're not
Yeah.
trying to fucking knock him out.
I think, honestly, like Jake Paul, I find really annoying. I think a lot of people do. But I will say, after watching that fight, I actually have a lot more respect for him. Because the guy is a showman through and through. Like, he is an entertainer, and that is what he does. And I think he had to, like, weigh the cost-benefit analysis of, like, if I knock out Mike Tyson right now, too many people are going to hate me. They're just going to hate me, and I can't come back from this. And pay homage to a great fighter, put on an exhibition fight, and everybody will like be cool with it. And I think he figured out what the best path forward was, and I think he took it. And I have a lot of respect for that.
Yeah, I honestly think that Jake Paul is doing the best with how he's grown up. Like, I think he's putting his best foot forward. Like, when you listen to him, he's all about like improving as a human being, improving as a boxer. Like, he's brash and he's arrogant, outspoken. But I just feel like that's the entertainment, and the entertainer in him. But I think like,
but he advocates for the right things.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he like wants to lead a healthy lifestyle, and he's helped with so many charities. He's given back to the boxing community and the less fortunate so much. I think he's done a lot of good things, and I think with the cards he's been dealt, he's doing a great job. I actually am. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of him.
I think just being a content creator of his caliber for as long as he has been, like, you just have to say wild shit. You know, like, it's kind of just part of that community. Yeah. Like, you're gonna say shit to get a headline and just to keep people engaged.
Yeah.
It's part of that, like, influencer community. Like, all influencers nowadays say some pretty outlandish shit, Yeah. And I think Jake Paul is no different, but I think, like, he's definitely, like, it seems as if he's grown from just being the influencer Jake Paul to now, like, the professional boxer, like,
yeah, for sure.
He's come from being just a pure shock jock kind of guy.
Yeah.
Now, I do have to ask you, though, how good do you think he actually is? Because this is a point of controversy for a lot of people. They're like, if he fought somebody good, they'd kill him,
Yeah, I think the caliber depends, I think Jake Paul has all the tools in the world to be really good, and I think he's getting there faster than people could have expected. And also, it's just about who he fights. He's got power, he's got the technique, he's got the right trainers behind him. But if you were to take, like, he's called out Canelo a few times or said that that's going to be a possible fight in the future. In all reality, if he fought Canelo right now, Canelo would destroy him.
He's
like,
just way
absolutely
more technical.
Fucking destroy him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's way more technical. He's powerful. He's the best boxer right now. Outside of guys like, Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. But yeah, Canelo there is a large discrepancy in skill.
Yeah.
And to deny that or to think that Jake Paul would have a chance against Canelo is, you probably really don't watch boxing like that or aren't into it from a martial arts standpoint.
I mean, he lost to Fury, right? And that was like his one pro loss. And that was a guy that was a somewhat legit boxer, like a good boxer, a pro boxer.
Yeah.
Maybe not top of the game.
No, not even nearly.
No. Yeah, I still think that's early in his career, and he's trying to prove himself as a professional boxer, and I would definitely put him at that level. I think he is a professional. I think he trains and acts like a professional in the ring. Yeah.
But we always say, there's black belts and then there's black belts.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's levels to everything. You're a professional boxer. Canelo's a professional boxer. Jake Paul's a professional boxer. But there are levels.
Yeah.
Between those two, But I think at this point it's weird to like, I mean, Jake Paul just did the biggest like spectacle event in boxing just now against Mike Tyson.
Which was impressive.
What do you mean the biggest?
I mean, like it was the first live like combat sport event on Netflix, you know? Yeah. I think what I was listening to on the Ariel Helwani show was they said like 65 million households viewing, not just viewers, but households like viewing on Netflix. And I don't know how they track that, but I'm sure Netflix has its way. But
oh yeah, it's streaming, so they know exactly how many people.
Yeah, exactly. So 65 million households watching that event. You know, and not to mention that I think they got the second highest gate at the, you know, at the stadium they were at, AT&T, I think.
Yeah, in Texas.
Yeah. So obviously he's doing fucking huge things.
Yeah, big numbers.
At this point, it's like, what do you do next? What do you do next? Like if Jake Paul just fights a freaking, you know, undefeated type coming up boxer, who's gonna want to watch that after you just watched an event like that?
Yeah.
You know?
I think it really just depends on what his goals are. And if he's like legit, I want to be a world champion in boxing, like a legit world champion, then I don't think he is going to matter. I don't think he's going to care if his next fight is a high profile fight, because he had high profile fights. Then he went and fought 2 actual contenders,
right?
You know, and nobody watched him. Nobody even realized he was fighting. Yeah. But he just did it for himself. Yeah. So if his goal is to be the best that he can be in boxing, I don't think it's going to matter.
Well, he wears multiple hats, right? So he's got the kind of the promoter, the big event guy hat, and then he's got the professional boxer hat.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're on at the same time, like when he with Tyson, and sometimes not.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the actual greatest of all time, the black belt of all black belts.
Gosh.
Yeah.
I mean,
dude.
I think just Jon Jones, despite whether you like him as a person or not, is undeniably the greatest MMA fighter to ever walk this planet.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like undeniably.
Yeah. We talk about this a lot in, you know, when we're looking at really high caliber wrestlers, really high caliber fighters, anyone in any sport really, but just the person that doesn't lose. And there's some people that just like, oh my God, I just want to see this person lose. Is it possible? But then there's people that are like, honestly, I love that they're just not going to lose. I want to see that. I want to see ultimate greatness.
Exactly. I think people are attracted to that. That's why people like watching Gordon Ryan. That's people liked watching Khabib, because there's 2 sides of it. Yeah. You know, like you said, there's going to be people that are like, oh, I want this guy to finally fucking lose. Yeah. And then there's going to be people that are just like,
it would be
how
so cool.
amazing is it that there's someone out there that really can't lose, because losing is more likely than being undefeated. Like you were saying earlier, Ty, like it's more likely that you're going to lose than be undefeated. So it's kind of a spectacle just to see someone that's like years and years unbeaten.
Yeah.
And just dominant from start to finish.
Different generations too.
Yeah, different generations.
It's like the Madonna of fighting.
Yeah.
She's like reinvented herself for decades. You know? That's Jon Jones.
Yeah. I mean, man, just to talk a little bit about the fight, like, I mean, Jon Jones is so like, let's take other great fighters, for example. Yeah. I mean, Khabib. Khabib, you know what he's going to do, right? And that was what made him so special, is you know what he was going to do to you, and he still did it.
Yeah.
The thing about Jon Jones is like, you see something different for every fighter he fights.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just, that's just what Jon Jones does. He goes in there and beats him up that way. No, he does things different for every fighter he fights. Yeah. It's like running plays, you know, like running routes in football. It's like they have these mapped out.
Yeah.
They know Stipe's holes, and they know what they're going to attack, and he's going to stick to that. And that's probably what he worked the whole camp. Mm-hmm. It's not like he's like, oh, I'm a good grappler, I'm just going to continue to do that and try to do that to Stipe.
Yeah.
No, he is specific. I mean, how often do you see Jon throw a pull left hand?
Yeah.
You know?
Not often.
And they obviously saw that as a weakness in Stipe's game. He didn't land it, but he was throwing it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so cool. And to bring it back to, we were talking about Bruce Lee, but Jon Jones mentioned Bruce Lee in regards to that spinning back kick. I don't know if you heard about this in the interview that he did, but he said he was inspired by Bruce Lee's quote, I fear not the man that's practiced 10,000 kicks once, but the man that's practiced one kick 10,000 times.
Yeah.
And he was talking about that spinning back kick. He's been practicing that for 3 hours, every day at his home with a professional karate athlete. I don't know the full details, but he was speaking to that.
Yeah.
And that's what like a true master of strategy does. He's going to look at you. He's going to identify holes, and then he's going to work some sort of weapon. He's going to sharpen some sort of blade that will cut you down.
Yeah.
And that's so cool. I think Jones is the real style bender.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know what he's going to do.
Absolutely.
He can wrestle.
Absolutely.
He can just kickbox, right? He's a master of distance, and he can submit you as well. And he can submit you even if you're a high-level black belt, and he'll just prove it to you. It's incredible.
And another thing, and we've talked about this on the podcast, is like, you can't spread yourself too thin as a martial artist. Like, you can't be the best everywhere.
Yeah.
But Jon Jones almost breaks that mold.
Yeah.
Like, he can strike with the best strikers. He can wrestle the best wrestlers, and he can grapple the best grapplers.
Yeah.
Like, I think for nowadays he's just beating people. He's finding their holes, and he's just beating them easy.
Yeah.
But back in the day, I think it was like a mental thing for him to beat you where everyone thought that they could beat him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So cool.
With Daniel Cormier, I mean, he out-wrestled Daniel Cormier.
Yeah.
He out-grappled Vitor Belfort.
Yep.
He outstruck Lyoto Machida.
Mm-hmm.
Like all these guys that are said to, they're going to give Jon Jones a hard time in this area.
Yeah.
Beats him there.
Yeah.
And now I think he's let go of that and just been like, I'm just going to expose all your holes and destroy you.
Yeah.
And he does that. And it's just, I mean, if there was one person on this planet that was 100% made for MMA, it's Jon Jones.
Yeah.
Obviously this guy was born to do this.
It is crazy to think that if he were to fight anyone in the world, just a hand-to-hand combat fight, he beats 100% of the planet.
Yeah. Like, I mean, there might be some guy.
There might be someone in a cave somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere. Just his whole life has been about beating Jon Jones.
Yeah. Not in the octagon, but just in case they run into each other.
In case they run into each other in a fight. That's in the mountains.
Yeah, that is a crazy
thing. It's a crazy thought. Yeah. You think like as a black belt, you could probably beat 90,
90%.
A lot, 90% of the average people.
Way higher than that.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
If you're a black belt in especially in something like jiu-jitsu, I would estimate you're like in the 99 point some percent. Yeah. Like as far as the number of people that you could probably kill if you get your hands on them.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you overestimate the average person's ability. Most people are pretty incapable of damn near anything.
Yeah.
You know the fight I want to see? Jon Jones versus Khamzat.
Dude, no. Yeah. That's the thing is like, Khamzat's an incredible grappler, but I mean, we talk. Jon Jones has Gable Stevenson training with him.
Yeah.
Who is probably, one of the best heavyweight wrestlers ever. Just his movement, one of the youngest Olympic champs, probably, I think the youngest Olympic champion, multiple time NCAA champion.
He was until recently.
Oh, okay. Until a meet or the girl
that just won.
But and he's training with Gordon Ryan, who's the best jiu-jitsu guy in the world right now.
Best and no-gi grappler on the planet.
Yeah. And both those guys talk about how hard it is to train in their expertise with Jon Jones.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So cool.
I mean, that's the type of athlete that guy is.
Yeah.
So I think even a guy like Khamzat, whose specialty is just taking people down and grappling them and just holding them down, it's not going to work against Jon Jones.
He's the best to ever do it.
Yeah.
So cool to see.
Your boy Bo Nickel, you must have been excited.
Oh yeah, big fan. Honestly, fuck all the booers. Screw you
Turn
guys.
The booers
for booing.
into bowers.
That's just the classic.
Bowers,
Let's
nice.
go Bo. Booers to bowers, and you're all gonna turn someday. But I mean, I don't think people really put into perspective how incredible it is what he's done.
Yeah.
And that's a big reason. Like, I kind of look up to him and like him as much as I do is because I mean, the guy has as many fights as me, or had as many fights as me in the UFC, and going into the UFC, and it's rare to see that. And he's taken on this pressure, fighting on main cards, as this guy who's really like just started MMA, just started his journey in MMA, and he's taking that pressure head on and just going through it, man. Because people were chanting overrated. It's like, dude, this guy is fighting a guy that has fought Jamal Hill, beat Jamal Hill. Jamal Hill went on and became light heavyweight champ. Beat Ankalaev. Ankalaev is fighting for the light heavyweight title. So
yeah.
And that was his 7th professional fight.
Yeah, it's a crazy test.
Most people don't even make it into the UFC by 7 professional fights.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, Bo has a lot to work on. He's very new to the sport and new to striking, but does he have potential to be a world-class MMA fighter? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I don't think him beating Paul Gregg the way he did disproved that in any way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, still super young.
I'm
Still
impressed with
undefeated.
Yeah. I honestly impressed with Bo. Just incredibly impressed with Jon. I think he can do whatever he wants at this point. And I kind of do feel like he's going to fight Tom Aspinall. And I kind of feel like he's going to beat him. I think the only way you beat Jon is just you punch him hard, fast, and you catch him. You just catch him. Like, anyone can get caught. But technically, strategically, Jon beats anyone in the world.
Yeah, and he has way more weapons than Tom. The another thing Tom has is youth, of course.
Yeah.
He's a young, hungry champion that also looks like a
big
world beater.
heavyweight.
Yeah.
Big, fast heavyweight. Way bigger than
super
Jon.
fast, yeah.
So.
Well, I mean,
But
you can
also-
always just wait till he's 58 and then fight him.
Yeah, that'd be a good bet. Although Jon might still be killing people at 58.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might have to be careful. I know I always send Dad like the old school videos. Like I saw a video of Boviasar wrestling and he's got to be in his 50s at this point.
Yeah,
and I saw him wrestling these young guys and just beating them up, and I was sending it to Dad. I'm like, you still got it, man.
Yeah.
You still got it. You're going to do this. Could be you. Let's go. Let's get after it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, anything else to talk about?
I don't think so.
We covered a lot.
Yeah. I mean, that's 60 minutes.
Yeah, 60 minutes
A little more, actually.
of potting.
I mean, I think one of the goals should be by 8 episodes, you guys should be pushing 3 hours.
Oh, yeah?
I think
You got to try to keep up with Rogan.
we need
All right, well, I'm hitting up Donald Trump. I'm getting him on the podcast.
more pod stamina.
Yeah. But yeah, expect, if you're a viewer out there and you're watching, or you have been watching our podcast, listening, however you're viewing, just know that in 8 episodes, we're going to start doing guests. We're going to have, MMA fighters, jiu-jitsu athletes, friends of ours, other connections that we have that, will be on the podcast, and we'll be talking to them, chatting with them. And so look forward to it. Keep coming by, keep listening. We're really, really enjoying this.
Yeah.
So we hope y'all are too.
And keep guessing what Temp Ty looks like.
Yeah.
Maybe post some pictures of what you think I look like. Draw something.
Yeah, draw an image and send it.
If you draw a picture of Ty, we will send you an ALLGROUND.
How many hats do they have?
These guys have unlimited ads.
So many hats.
Oh, speaking of which, the beanies are done. I got to go pick those up soon. ALLGROUND beanies coming in hot.
All ground beanies. Let's go. All right.
All right.
Good night.